The Northtown News Magazine is brought to you in part by eVoter. eVoter is proud to be a sponsor of the Northtown News Magazine.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine, and I am going to cut the Cook County budget.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine show with Sonny Hirsch, our cameraman, and the greatest host around, Sonny Myers.
Thank you, Marty. Avi Myers here, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. Dial us up on the web at www.ntnm.org. That's your link to YouTube, where over 100,000 shows have been watched. Thank you so much. We're real big on community policing, caps24.org, while Election Day is around the corner, literally. So it is time for you to get out there and vote if you didn't do the early voting. And of course, the person who I had the privilege of co-hosting the live show with on January 24th is with me today, Jim Nally. Jim, how you doing?
Good to see you again, Avi.
My pleasure. And of course, you are Chicago's leading election lawyer.
Well, thank you.
And actually, your clients thank you, and I know there's a whole bunch of people that have a lot less opposition because you knew what you were doing.
Or people are on the ballot because of that. So.
Yeah, that's true. Although, you know what, actually, the story in the Reader was very interesting.
Well, it's part of the process. You know, you got to make sure you get your paperwork right.
So what's your, is there any particular person you're really back in this particular election cycle?
Well, of course, somebody right here from this neighborhood that we all grew up in, Terry O'Brien.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Terry also.
Yeah, Terry is running, and he's running on a very good record that he's made at the Water Reclamation District. As you know, he's been president there for 13 years, been a commissioner for over 20, and the Water Rec is one of the best-run government agencies in the United States.
Yeah, AAA bond rating, which no other agency has around here. And
you know, I don't think people understand. AAA bond rating is extremely hard to get either for a private company and almost impossible to get for a government agency. It really means that the bond rating companies have gone out there and they've looked at the management, they've looked at the financials, they've looked at the operations and said this is one of the best run operations in the whole United States, be it public or private.
And of course, when he was appointed president 13 years ago, it was a scandal-ridden agency.
Yeah, he was actually elected by his fellow commissioners as president, and he's been reelected every 2 years since then. And I think another thing you look at is Terry has a very diverse board, 9 members on the board. He's routinely reelected 9-0. He's a consensus builder. He's a people person. He meets with people. He listens to what they have to say.
And by the way, you're not kidding. You're talking about 9 extraordinarily different types of individuals.
Yeah, but you know, and that's why I think Terry can bring some semblance of order to what's been going on at the county. You have 17 commissioners, and I just don't think there's been that outreach to sit down with the commissioners and address their concerns, find out what's important to their constituents in their districts, and try to work in a way that everybody feels that they're part of the process.
Yeah, and there's some extraordinary waste there also.
Yeah, well, again, if you look at Terry, what he's done, 2008, the last taxing year, $56 million was rebated back to the taxpayers from the Water Reclamation District, which in these times, everybody's looking for more money, not trying to give it back to the taxpayers.
Yeah, and usually what a government agency will do is if they're allotted so much in the budget, they'll waste it the last month of the year rather than lose it the next time, and they're not worried about that. They actually rebated 56. That is, nobody does that.
Well, and since Terry's been the president of the Water District, they've also decreased their head count by about 30%. Through attrition, nobody's lost their job, nobody's been furloughed, but as people retire, they look at the operation and say, look, do we need this position filled? Can this work be done in a more efficient way?
And actually, he started out with about 3,000 employees. The last figure he gave me was 2,046.
Correct.
And that's also given that they added stormwater management to what they do also.
Right. The district took over those responsibilities about 3 or 4 years ago.
So yeah, that was, so you're talking about more work being produced and, 30% less workforce.
Well, it's productivity. It's getting the right people, qualified people who know how to do the job. One of the other things that they do at the district is that every full-time position there is subject to examination and testing before you can be hired. And you have to take an examination and show you have the skills to do that job.
And you know what? When we went down to the deep tunnel, and you were there with us, you know, the technical knowledge and the amount of things these people have to know, and the exactness of the operations they do, it just it's really mind-boggling.
Yeah, well, what the district does is, as you say, they're responsible for stormwater management, they're responsible for treatment of wastewater, and these are extremely important functions. They're not very well-known functions, but they're functions that have to be done because nobody wants to wake up after a rainstorm and find their basement flooded.
Oh, that's definitely correct, and as a matter of fact, there's a lot less of that than there used to be.
Right, and the whole deep tunnel system is almost online now, probably 2 or 3 years away from having all the reservoirs tied into the tunnel system, and people have incrementally been seeing the benefits of that, but they'll really see that in another couple of years when the system is fully operational.
Yeah, as much as we could talk about Terry the whole time, you know, let's take the last couple of minutes and let's talk about who else you favor in the selection, or who else you like.
Well, I've full disclosure, I've done work with a lot of different candidates who are running. I would urge people to take a good look at the judicial ballot. That's something that comes last on the ballot, and they're very often people tend to ignore that, or they might not even vote for the judges. They might come in and vote for the contested governmental positions as opposed to judicial. But you know, keep in mind you are more likely to have contact with the judicial system at some point in your career than any other branch of government. You may get a speeding ticket, you may have to sue somebody if they owe you money, you may be in an auto accident and have to go into court and seek compensation for that. So it's extremely important to get good qualified people on the bench. I
agree 100%, and that's one of the reasons why in Jewish Chicago I spend so much time going over things and talking to people, and it's shocking to me how many people aren't qualified that are on the ballot, that were turned down by all the bar associations, not to mention problems with ethics.
Yeah, you know, you really should take the time, and particularly now in the age of the internet, all this information is very freely available. You can get on any number of websites, and they will have the bar ratings for all the various candidates. Now, keep in mind, there may be one bar association here or there that for different reasons may not recommend somebody. So you can't hold that against somebody if they get, say, 1 or 2, minor recommendations that are not good. But if you look at the overall number of recommendations, and there are probably about 10 bar rating agencies out there, various types, who rate people as far as their qualifications go. And take a look at the whole picture for people and see, if somebody's getting not recommended by 10 of 10, you might want to take a look at that more closely. Read publications like Jewish Chicago, where people do take the time to look at the qualifications of candidates and analyze them and give a good rational explanation as to why this person is the most qualified.
Yeah, I would like to point out too that I'm very dependent on people who are actually sitting judges and legal scholars, and I don't actually make the decisions myself. I get a consensus from them, and it has to be a clear consensus. If it votes 4-3, then I don't endorse somebody. I'll mention both of them in a favorable manner. But it's got to be a clear consensus, and it's really interesting who's out there and what the situation is, and it's scary sometimes when you see some of the people, because if you have to appear before a judge, it could be life and death stuff, it could be your financial freedom, all sorts of things. It's so important, it's not even funny. And anyway, I want to tell you, it's been a very exciting election year. I hope everybody's going to go out and vote. Thanks for doing the live show. That's always a real kick. And,
yeah, well, one last push on turnout. People really, you can't make it any easier to vote than it is now, in terms of people had the opportunity to early vote, people had the opportunity to vote absentee, and people have the opportunity to go to their polling place right in their own precinct and vote. It doesn't take a long time. It's all computerized. It's 5 or 10 minutes out of your day, but it can have long-lasting ramifications. And think about this the next time you're complaining about taxes or you're complaining about lack of good services. This is where those decisions are made, and by voting for good qualified people and putting them in office, you're directly addressing those things.
Absolutely correct. Thank you so much, Jim Nally, star election lawyer, and we look forward to our next conversation, and good luck on election night.
Thanks.